The news of Taehyung's recent purchase of an open house for cash immediately stirred the Korean entertainment scene, but the most touching thing of all was Jungkook's reaction that he couldn't hide his pride. This moment is not just about an idol who manages to buy a luxury property with his hard-earned money, but about the friendship, long journey, and mutual support that they have built since they were trainees living from the same small room and the same big dream. The story becomes much more emotional when it sees how Jungkook and Taehyung's relationship remains close-knit even as popularity, wealth, and the wider world could have kept them apart. But the opposite happens. The achievement of one becomes a pride for the other. News of Taehyung buying an open house in cash circulated quickly after several sources mentioned that the transaction took place in one day without going through a long process like most other celebrities. The house is estimated to be of high value, with open modern designs, spacious courtyards, and luxurious minimalist-style interiors that have become a trend among top artists. But what is interesting is not only about the value, but how Taehyung looks very calm, humble, and even a little shy when confirming it to those closest to him. He does not intend to flaunt, but rather wants to ensure the comfort of his family in the future. And Jungkook, as a best friend who has known him since he was a teenager, knows very well how great a journey Taehyung has gone through to reach this point. According to a source close to the two, Jungkook was one of the first people Taehyung notified after the house purchase was completed. Jungkook was silent for a few seconds, before smiling broadly and saying he was very proud. The pride is not only due to the fantastic value of the house or Taehyung's status as one of the richest idols of his generation, but rather to old memories of how Taehyung used to dream of having an open house with lots of light, where he could play music, pet his dog, and enjoy the tranquility after a tiring schedule. Jungkook knows the dream well, and seeing it come true is a joy in itself. In a live occasion conducted by Jungkook some time ago, ARMY had captured the moment when Jungkook smiled slightly while reading a comment that alluded to Taehyung's achievements. Although he didn't say much directly, his gaze turned soft, as if harboring a sense of pride and nostalgia. Many fans have suggested that Jungkook is the type of friend who doesn't talk much about his feelings, but when he's proud of someone, it's obvious from the way he smiles and his slightly twinkling eyes. Taehyung, who has been sharing more and more about his life lately, seems to think Jungkook is the one who best understands his emotional journey. Their friendship is indeed known to be deep and full of complexities that only the two of them understand, from trainees' stressful, distant dreams to the pinnacle of global success they never imagined. There was a time when Jungkook admitted that Taehyung was one of the people who made him learn to be bolder, more open, and less hard on himself. While Taehyung often says that Jungkook is where he returns to when he feels the world is too noisy. Two different figures, but incredibly reinforcing each other. So when the news of the new house appeared, it was only natural that Jungkook not only felt proud but also felt as if he was watching his best friend's dream fulfilled one by one. Many fans even said that Jungkook's reaction reflected his sincere figure, who is always grateful to see those around him succeed. No envy, no veiled competition, just pure pride. Something that may only be understood by those who have been together since before they became BTS as they are now. Some analysts of the Korean entertainment industry also see this moment as one proof of how solid the members' relationship is. In the midst of many other K-pop groups that have broken up due to internal problems or unfair competition, BTS continues to show strong relationships despite each having personal projects and achievements. Taehyung's purchase of the house in cash is a big headline, but for fans, the heart of the story lies precisely in Jungkook's support, which makes things even more emotional. When Jungkook is seen smiling proudly, ARMY feels that the friendship they have loved so far is not just fan service, but something real. Taehyung himself in his last interview alluded that the house is not just a symbol of career achievement, but a symbol of his long journey against indecision, industrial pressure, and a great desire to provide comfort to his family. He grew up in a simple family, and having a magnificent house that could be a gathering place was a childhood dream that he kept tightly. Jungkook, who had a difficult childhood as well, understands those feelings more than anyone. Maybe that's why he's so proud, because they both came from the same place, but managed to break through boundaries they never imagined. Public reaction was mixed. but the majority praised how Taehyung and Jungkook's relationship remained warm, honest, and mutually constructive. In an era when there is a lot of news about celebrity feuds, this story feels like a breath of fresh air. Many fans even hope that the location of the house can be a place for the two of them to get back together, play music together, or just spend time like they used to when life was simple. With all that going on, one thing that is becoming increasingly clear is that the friendship between Jungkook and Taehyung not only captivated ARMY's attention, but also served as a reminder of how precious it is to have someone who is truly proud of your accomplishments, unconditionally, without fear of being left behind. Jungkook sees Taehyung's new home not as a competition, but as a shared victory. And Taehyung sees Jungkook's little words not as mere support, but as an energy that strengthens him in the midst of a world that often feels too big. Finally, news of Taehyung buying a luxury home for cash might disappear from the headlines one day. But the little behind-the-scenes moments, the proud Jungkook, the grateful Taehyung, and the steadfast friendship will live on in ARMY's hearts. Because in the end, it's not the house that makes the story interesting, but two friends who grew up together, fought together, and now achieve their dreams by keeping their hands on each other. The ARMY's reaction to this news also flooded social media, not only because Taehyung bought a luxurious house with a cash payment that stunned the public, but because many fans felt that they could feel the warmth of Taekook's friendship that was increasingly real. In the midst of their respective busy lives and the ever-changing pressures of the industry, simple moments like Jungkook's support for Taehyung led ARMY to believe that BTS is not just a music group, they are a family created from the same struggle. Many fans even wrote that Taehyung's victory was Jungkook's victory, and vice versa. There is a deep sense of community that is reflected in the way they address each other's successes without envy, without comparison, but with genuine love and pride. Some big fanbase accounts even unpacked old clips back when Taehyung and Jungkook were trainees. They show how both once dreamed of having a comfortable life, a place to return to after a long day, and a big house for their respective families. In one of the older clips, Taehyung once joked that he wanted a big house with big windows and natural light coming in every morning. Jungkook, who was then an innocent teenager, just laughed and said that it sounded like a dream house in television dramas. No one would have thought that years later, the dream became so real and Jungkook became one of the first witnesses to celebrate his success. Even some of the old staff who had worked with them said that Taehyung and Jungkook's relationship was like siblings. They may have been at odds, had different opinions, had drifted away from each other because of their busy lives, but in the end they always came back to the same thing. They understood each other more than anyone. So when Taehyung manages to buy his dream house, it's only natural that Jungkook feels happy as if it's his own achievement.